You need to. Yes, so there now. Yes, you need to say, okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mission Star with Franz and Andrea again, and me, Eabeauti. Today we have a very exciting topic, and that is the biggest dishes on the top of the ice cream, where you're putting all the small details together. So our titles today is about disappointed but love with all your heart. Because disappointed is just a story you're creating of something you thought should happen. And it's better to be open and be in your heart. So, welcome to our show today. And I am so grateful for all you who listen to us. You take your time out of your life. I calculate my life for some days ago how many hours I have back. So that's so we have to value our time we give to each other. So I'm very grateful for you taking your time to talk with me this show and we can share to the world. So thank you, and for all your listeners, thank you deep from our heart for listening to us because we're bringing something to the table the world needs to know. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us, Eabeauti.
Welcome. So I was in on this topic about disappointment, and Francie come with how to open a love with all your heart because I was discovering something where I going and pay for something, and then I have created my story up in the brain how it was, but it was not ending this way. So I going home from something and I have pay, and but I learned from it. I have to ask in when I find something I want and ask, is it really this way or will it happen in another way? So we have to learn to stop also have any ideas about how things gonna happen. And then I start open my heart and see how you can transform this disappointment into love. So yes, so that was like why I start with this disappointing things. And I think a lot of people are disappointed in life today, like very fast, get disappointed all the time. As Andrea said, that is because we're creating stories, and I like that. So can you take a talk with from there, Andrea, or do you want Franz? I see.
Maybe friends, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think the topic is very relevant. My teacher says, stop talking to yourself. And this is what's actually happening. We are all like talking to ourselves in our head with the voices of our parents, with our own voices, with the voices of society. We create these conversations in our head, and the conversations are like, what does society expect from us? How should I behave? What should I do? And if I do it, what should I get? What's the reward for me complying to society? Same thing with the parents. We have our like our super ego in here, the inner critic that says, if you behave very well, if you follow exactly what your parents said, for example, then you shall be rewarded. So of course, all of these things, and then of course there's lots of other voices talking as well. And all of these voices, they create a certain script. So I behave like this, and then I shall be given this. And what happens is that you say, okay, like I got it all figured out in my head. Now, if I act like this, there will be a reward. And then the reality is that sometimes there is no reward at all because you simply made up something in your head, talking to yourself, and then there's no reward at all. Like maybe you even get punished for it, and then you're like, oh, you'll get angry, or you get sad, or sometimes you get fearful if it's about like your existence. For example, you should get paid, and then they say like, no, we're not gonna pay you for this, and then you get scared because you're running out of resources. And so all of that leads to an endless cycle of, the Buddhists call this samsara, which is suffering, and that is created by the chatter in your mind. And this is actually why all of the Buddhists and many other religions, or not even just religions, spiritual traditions, I shall say, started to meditate to quiet the chatter in the mind, because then there will be less expectations and there will be less disappointment. And what happens quite naturally is that if the quieter the mind gets, the louder a deeper intuition gets inside of you. And you can call it the heart, you can call it love, you can call it essence. That is an energy that rises up and starts to tune into, like, okay, what is actually needed here, and how can I behave to to fit with the flow of nature. And then there's no more expectation, no more disappointment, but just to see, okay, where am I in flow and where do I get stuck? And as soon as I get stuck, I can immediately tell there is something going on in my head, and I'm clinging to some idea of what should be and what shouldn't. And so getting out of this mind chatter and dropping down into the essence, the love, that is the key, I would say. So this is kind of to summarize the topic from my perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like what you're doing here, Franz, because you are turning conventional wisdom on its head. And this was also what I tried to do last week, that in the conventional wisdom inside of the talking mind, which is always just talking nonstop, from that point of view, what you're saying doesn't really make any sense. that you can step out of anything, and you just take it for granted. And you talked about these voices of society that gets internalized and just keep creating this narrative and setting up these expectations which don't exist. And so I really think that it's good that we can try to flip it on its head, because from outside of these talking voices, what they are saying doesn't really make any sense, basically. And so, yeah. And so it becomes, instead of becoming like, oh, how can I be better at having the right voice talk in my head and so on, it becomes more like, when am I not in flow? When am I not in myself and feeling myself in everything that is happening? When do I not have when is it these illusory voices in my head, and when is it actually me that is living my life as best as I can? And then it becomes, instead of trying to seek these moments of clarity or this ephemeral love, which can be very hard to sort of point to what it is, then it becomes more like we turn it around and we say, no, this is the normal state of being. The normal state of being is with a quiet mind and a presence into the world, into the immediate surrounding, not this mental abstract world. And now the point is that I have to observe myself, observe the voices, and see when are they blocking this natural state from just being there, because it is always there beneath everything else that comes on top. And so many things can come on top. But if you can just get it all out to the side, then this love and this beingness is just here. So I think that's really what we are trying to do here in this today and last week, that we're really trying to change a paradigm, basically, and flip it on its head, and try to see what happens when everything gets turned around. And also saying that this other way of being that we're so used to in a society, maybe it's also a little bit pathological in a way, that we always have to have voices inside our heads telling us, building up narratives all the time. Yes, I think that would be a very good place to start today, if we can take it from there.
Yes. Do you have any example you can give people? So some people who not understand this difficult words in English, so they have
Yeah,
little example. So we remember the people who are up there and the people who are there. Some need example and some need words.
yeah, it's we already talked about it in one
Mm,
of our earlier videos,
yeah.
and that is that when we're focused on our breathing, and we're focused on our breathing in the body, then we cannot be in the voices in the mind at the same time.
That's true.
So what we're looking for in the beginning are doorways out of this state of just these voices running amok. Yeah.
Mm.
So the breathing, getting in touch with the breathing, maybe also the senses, and just looking around in your immediate surroundings, because
Exactly. Like I was
all,
living on
there
the
are
beach.
all the negativity that you get when you turn on the news. It's not really here in the immediate environment. It's something that's out there somewhere, whether it's in the Middle East or wherever it is. It's not really here right now. And so when we just become very focused on what's actually here, then what is actually here is sort of benign in a way. It doesn't have any negativity in it. It's just, it is what it is, basically. And
Yeah.
then we can deepen into it with practice.
Yeah, because that was exactly what happened to me when I was living out with the sea and the cows was coming. It's just in the moment and see how the cats could connect with the cows and just be there and see what happened with the nature and how the cow we was on the beach and then the cats was and then the cow see the cats and they was walking like this way and then they see the cats and then they start walking up and so just as you
Yeah,
say, just me with the breathing and just
yeah.
looking around. But then I have a question like because you're talking about all these days in the news, but still there is some people somewhere who are sitting in a very wrong place right now. What could they do when they are just breathing also, you think? Or and because
uh,
we also need to tell something because we cannot only imagine we all can live and look. There are some people who are in situation where they are in the places where
Can I say something to that?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So
So
just, I want to give a very specific example. Just before we jumped on this call, literally 5 minutes before I called with my aunt, and my aunt told me, "Have you heard what happened in Austria?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And there was apparently like a student going to school, killing 10 people, and then going to the toilet and killing themselves. And I have greatest compassion for the victim, all of the victims that have died from it, but it doesn't affect my mood. Like I'm not gonna go into now a negative mood and say, "Oh, the world is so bad, it's so fucked up, the system is so bad." I'm not going to that place. And why is that? Because
yes, yes,
I'm here with myself. I bring up compassion for myself. I ground myself. It could be through breathing, it could be through yoga, or just giving myself time to digest everything, eat well, sleep well. I ground myself. And then if something from the outside comes to me, which is very negative, yeah, and tragic, I mean, we don't have to talk about this. Like, this is a very tragic case. And I don't know the exact case, but I can imagine that a lot of expectation and disappointment have been leading up to this extreme measurement of ending your life and others, of like an explosion of frustration, of pent up frustration over the years. And I think the system definitely needs to take care of this. This is not our topic today. Could be a topic for another time. The system needs to take care of this because we are going towards a society that is more and more struggling and dealing with mental illness and with these extreme measures. And it's not that those people are sick; it's that the system is breeding people and that have these crazy minds. And to address that original question of yours, Eabeauti, like of course, I mean there's other places like Ukraine, Gaza, Afghanistan, where it's very tough conditions. And the most important thing to keep in mind first is that of course we're all connected in a way, but we also have been given this body to go through life. And if we keep arguing like, oh, I'm in this position, others have it better, I'm in the worst place in the world, nothing's going to change at all. We, in the first place, we have to accept what we have been given. Like, I have to accept that this is the body that I've been given in this life. There's no denying that. Everything else would be delusional, saying like, oh, Andre, you have it so much better than me. That would be delusional. Or to say like, oh, I have it better than everybody else, I feel so guilty. It's also this is also delusional. It's not, this is not my job. My job is take care of this body as best as I can, and then step out in the world and give back. And so everybody in their place, and even if it's very tough place, and I know especially war zones, I have all the compassion in the world for people who are living in war zones, and that is very tough life. Yet at the same time, that's what they've been given, and it's for them to really make the best out of their situation wherever they come from, to see what's possible, like what options do I have right now, and if they really tune into that, then they can find a way out, and or just maneuver through this. And there's one thing which is also very prominent in it's one of the big five teachings of enlightenment from Buddha. It's about transience, and transience, I think that's the word, like transient, means that every state is going to pass. Like as bad as a situation seems in this moment, it's going to pass after a couple of minutes, hours, days, weeks, months. It's going to pass, and sometimes it takes longer. And but to keep that in mind in very difficult situations, that also these difficult situations are going to pass, and then there eventually the sun will shine again. Yeah, I think that is really what I would say, refer to hope. Yeah, and
Yes, also to bring love. It's just to, because there can be people who are sitting and seeing this. So I just wanna take care of. They understand what we mean with all these things, and that is love. Because in that way, when you say the body, I will kill, like a temple, also. When we take care of that and we can share love, then we can make the change, or how you say, like, because we have, as you say, we have to take care of our first self. That's
yeah,
also
Yeah.
a new things we all have to learn, because we all have talked about the ego, and when people are like, oh, when you do that, you are so. But no, that is actually that we have to. I see we have to come back to. We have to come back to take care of us and our.
Yes.
I see that so much with myself.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
always take care of everyone else. The last 10 days, my friend, she's stopping. Okay, is that for you now? Or why are you doing this for this person? It helping
Mm.
you or it not helping you? So,
Yeah, because I think there is a kind of a crab bucket effect if we change the perspective. that if we see that all this negativity in the world, it's generating itself in a way. And if we have if we have an intention of trying to step outside of it and just trying to see it for what it is, then there will always be temptations. If we manage to do it, even for a short period of time, there will be temptations to get into it again. So it's like the crab that's trying, it's like a bucket full of crabs, and one crab is trying to get out of the of the bucket and see what's on the other side of the bucket. But all the other crabs are pulling it down again into it because the negativity is just so extreme in the world. And there it really becomes, as you both just said, it becomes about protecting yourself or taking care of yourself and creating distance, healthy distance and boundaries to this negativity. So just it's almost like if you go in and read the news, you can almost feel like there are these little hooks in the news stories, and they talk about a news article needs to have a hook, something that hooks in the reader. But there is an element of it's not voluntary if you're getting hooked, because the news article should just be there, and you should have the choice of saying, do I want to read this or do I not want to read this? But if it's trying to hook you in, if it's trying to pull you down into the bucket again, then it's not really, there's something else going on here. There's something that's trying to pull you down again. And so we had this talk about the two hearts, and I know, Franz, you also want to talk about this, the difference between self-love and I just wanted to sort of the overview of it is that the thymus heart, which is about self-love, if that is broken, then it's narcissism. It's narcissistic personality disorder. If the heart is broken, then it's codependency and co-suffering and taking in messiah complexes and taking all the suffering onto yourself in the world. And so first we have to see, where am I? Where is my baseline? Where am I coming from? Am I coming from the heart, or am I coming from the thymus? And the thymus regulates the heart. So in another way of saying it, you cannot love another person as much as you can love yourself. So it directly correlates. The higher you can protect yourself, and self-love it can be a very ephemeral thing. What do we actually mean with self-love? But for instance, it is about being able to protect yourself from all the negativity of the world. So how well are you doing in protecting yourself? That's the health of your thymus energy center. And so if you're very poor at that, then it becomes a narcissistic kind of love where you're just using everyone else. So we are actually, I really like that when we're talking about opening your heart, then we always start with self-love, because that is the ventilator that determines how well we can actually enjoy the fruits of all the work we have been doing and experience love and that everything is benign in the world. So I just wanted to introduce once again those two hearts here.
Yeah, but also the last things you were saying, like also there, then you also, when you do this, then you also let go of this disappointment.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that, Eabeauti, in more detail?
Yeah,
So what exactly is happening here?
It seems like when you're going into that stage of self-love and that, then you're also creating lesser disappointed, because you don't need all this from outside, as you say, like you don't need a hook. That is also the problem with YouTube. Like you also need to make a hook for get people to see it. And like I say, that is my biggest, I have so much self-love and I live so much from my heart and I'm so pure So to create all this manipulation,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be a manipulation, as you say. A hook is a manipulation because you have to create
Yeah.
something, and then it's actually not that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it should be. I always only read things when I feel okay. I like this. Is not because of the hook. It's because it's talking to my heart.
Mm.
And then I see when you say this, you was talking about when we going in and have so much self-love and compassion, we can still, I think, get disappointed, but it go more lower. And in it disappointed, we can stop up and like the other show we're talking about, taking a break and step out of the world, or like my teacher say, take a thank you and say take a break. So because then the disappointed can transmutation to something good instead, and say, okay, what should I from there to myself love remember to do more about? Or is that I think about, then disappointment can disappears more and more. You it's like scrimping, like you have big things and then it will be
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
You take care of yourself, it will.
Yeah. Yeah, because the energy will just run out of it if you don't feed it with new
Yeah.
stories all the time. Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
that, and you also start this with like you don't have any expectations.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
just bringing into the table from your heart. You meet from the heart, like we're meeting in this show. We have, of course, talk about what will we talk about, but we're bringing into this show what is coming from our heart when we talk.
Mm.
So we
Yeah.
don't have creating any story before we making the shows. Because we are in our hearts and we are focused on
Mm.
we bringing to the table the show love from our heart to show the world we are what we talking about. That's also very important.
Mm.
Like I say to people, like you have to when you go to someone, you have to, if they need to help, they have to be in by themselves, walk the talk. Yeah? So and that's what I like when we do this talk show. We have walked the talk, and what we're talking about is from us, from our heart and our self-love journey, or how you say it, because it's
Yeah.
a journey, because we're not
Yeah.
learning from small in the system to love ourselves, but we will do that in the future because it has to come into the school system and kindergarten system, so we can learn the children to love themselves from
Mm.
early stage. But everything, as Franz say, it will pass. The system have been that for a long time, and now it's on the way to pass to another system. So, so yeah. So what do you think about? I think like when we love ourselves more, and then the disappointment will scramp more into a smaller.
So thank you so much, Eabeauti. I want to take it from there because what is very interesting is the word disappointment in German is called Enttäuschung. And it's quite interesting because Enttäuschung means kind of like disillusionment. So it's basically lifting the veil of an illusion. And that's what disappointment in German is more like this illusionment, or like
Yeah.
taking the veil. And
Yeah.
this is what it is. So we should celebrate if we're disappointed. We should be happy about being disappointed because it, all that it does is life or reality shows us that we've been on the wrong track in our head. We made up some stuff in our head which is not matching reality, and life shows us. So we should be happy, and it is always an invitation to go back to where did I form this expectation? where did I get attached? That's again like how the Buddhists say like attachment. Where do you get attached? Like none of us, we can't take our body with us. We can't take anything with us when we leave this world. So it's better to really learn about the attachment and about letting go of all of the attachment to things from the outside and from the material world. So whenever we get attached, then we start to form expectations. I want a Ferrari in my life, for example, or I want a nice girlfriend, or I want my parents to love me so much. This is all expectations in the outside. It's all attachments. Like we want to feed ourselves because inherently we don't feel like we're good enough. We don't feel like we're sufficient in a way. And this again goes back to like the childhood wounding, and we talked about that before. Like after 6 months, in the first 6 months, every child identifies with the mother and therefore with the universe. Like there's no difference between me and my mother in the first 6 months, and then it starts to break up because the kids start to see, oh, I'm actually in this body, I'm actually separate from my mother. And that is the first childhood wounding. And from that comes like usually in the first 3 years a certain way to deal with this childhood wounding. And this like very, very early conditioning that none of us have consciously present. Like if I asked you, Andre, what happened in your first 3 years of your life and how did it shape your psyche right now? Then you'll be like, I don't know. You must be Superman to know that. But in fact, this is all stored in our subconscious, and therefore this fuels this belief of I'm not good enough, or I need confirmation from the outside. I need I'm right, or like fear of scarcity. I need to get more of this, more of food, more of love, more of money, more of nice objects, whatever. And to really become conscious of that and to simply practice. And again, because you said, Eabeauti, you want something specific, practice letting go of the attachment. And it doesn't take much. Of course, it's not easy to do, but it doesn't take much. I mean, you can see whenever you feel like, oh, but I want this. Oh, now I want this. And then you just say like, okay, oh, what's going on? What do I
Yeah.
want right now? Like I just had a croissant. Why do I need another croissant right now? Or I'm sitting at home having a nice talk show with Andre and Eabeauti. Why does my head wander and start thinking about, oh, do I go to the gym afterwards? Do I go to food? No, 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 no. Like this chatter and to realize, okay, well, this is all a program that's running, but I don't need to fully like commit to that program. I don't need to put all my attention on that program. I can say, okay, yeah, look, this is the program, it's running, and at the same time, life is happening. At the same time, there's energy, love, essence, however you want to see it. There's us being present here in this moment right now. And yeah, and that can all happen at the same time. And this, I would say, is a very good practice. Like whenever you do something, do it very mindful and see when your mind wanders off, you'll notice. Yeah.
That was a good point. Yeah. I also, when I have my car, people was like, why you don't get a new car? It will be. I say, but why should I when it worked? My car working. I love my car, so like this. Why should I just focus on get an Audi or something? Because the outside world, if my car fitting to me, then it's like so it's like this with you. We program, you should have this, you should have a house, you should have this, you should have this.
Yeah, and
And
I really, yeah.
and let people be who they are, what they want. If they want to have a house, then they have a house, but don't say to
Mhm.
others, Oh, you should also have a house. Why are you not living this way? I live.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know,
and I think
sorry,
yeah.
Andre, I just want to make a very short comment. You know why people do this, e-beauty?
Mm.
Do you know it? Why they do it? Because inside themselves, they feel something's not right and they need the confirmation from the outside. So they are projecting this on you in order to feel safe and to feel secure that they're not going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a
Mm.
good topic to bring up to people so they can go deeper into understanding what it is we're talking about.
If they are ready for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But
of course.
just so
Because
they have
sometimes,
some small topics sometimes where they can say, okay, where can I stop up and be ready? Or
yeah, and you can always see when something like that occurs, like you have this conversation. Of course, first you take care of yourself, but then if you feel really grounded and you connect with that other person, you can see like how deep can you go with that person before the ego gets defensive. Because when the
Mm.
ego gets defensive, that means this person is not able to go deeper because there's a defense mechanism and it's there to protect that person of
Yeah,
too much physical distortion or trauma. And that
yeah,
means that something from the past has not been processed yet. And,
yes,
and if you go too deep now, it could basically go to a reliving of the childhood
yeah,
wound. And so
yeah,
that uh, just in general, like a good approach when you speak to people and you see they get defensive instead of like, oh, why you get so
yeah,
defensive? No, no.
yeah,
You're like, oh,
yeah,
okay, that's how far I can go, and now that person needs to do some healing work. Otherwise, I cannot go further.
yeah. That's a very good point, Franz, because I work as a therapist, and there are these ebbs and flows to a session. If you're, and I think the whole thing here is that we have talked a lot about acceptance, and if I, as a therapist, if my unconscious intention is just to push people into a certain place, then I have not really accepted my clients as they are. And we talked about, I really like that you said that disappointment in German sort of means the end of illusions. And so, I think acceptance is the first real step to love. And it is the first real step to grow up out of an infantile consciousness level. And the infantile consciousness level is characterized by force, by everything has to be force based. So why do I do the things that I do? It's because there is a force in me that is pushing me to do these things, to strive to get all these things out in the world. And this force might have a voice and telling me that I'm not good enough if I don't get it. And if I lose the struggle, I will be a loser, and all the things that it can tell me. But the thing here, and this also relates back to the thing about the crab bucket effect and the hook. This is not voluntary. I have not really consented to get the Audi, because I'm not getting the Audi because I really would enjoy an Audi. I'm getting the Audi because I'm fearful of what happens if I don't get the Audi. Then I would be I would feel I would be confronted with my own inadequacy feelings or shame or guilt or whatever it is. So everything becomes involuntary force. And just because you talked about this with the therapist here, the way I work is very non-linear. So I don't see people as like they have an upper layer and a middle layer and a deep layer, and it's just about in a linear way going through it. And you're absolutely right, Franz. There are these border regions where defenses are put in place to protect against wounding. And so, if we really want to accept how people are, and accept is also the beginning of respect, that we actually see how people are instead of how we want them to be, then of course I would not push through a defense. that would be incredibly disrespectful and also harmful to do, as you said, Franz, because then they would be confronted with a situation from the past which was traumatizing. And we all have traumatizing experiences with us. Everyone has that. And so instead, what you can do is you can reinforce the defense, because now I'm not coming from the mind and the linearity, but I'm coming from the thymus, and I'm saying, I'm so glad that you were able to protect yourself when you were a child, because these defenses, they may be a little immature, but they were also created when the person was a child. So it makes sense. So we reinforce them instead and say, I'm so happy that you managed to survive these things and not go into a complete psychic collapse and psychosis. But you managed to survive these things by putting up these boundaries. So let's honor these boundaries. And while we do that, we can also start building more mature boundaries, which are situated in the thymus. So, for instance, one of these defenses, it could be a kind of anxiety, for instance, that you feel a little ungrounded and you don't really know where you are, and you feel maybe a bit confused as well. So what we can do here is that we can honor the anxiety as an old friend which has been protecting you and keeping you out of trouble, because the anxiety is trying to say, oh, be careful over here, there might be some danger over here, and be careful over here because there also might be some danger over here. But the anxiety doesn't feel very good. But if we honor the anxiety and we don't push it, because if we push the anxiety, the trauma was that there was too much force when you were a child. You are not really, the child's boundaries was not respected. And so if I come as a therapist and I just try to push the same force, then there's no difference between what I'm doing and what was done in the person's childhood. So we do the opposite thing instead. We become very gentle and respectful, because that was what was missing, respectful and accepting of the other person. And so when we build up the thymus here and we get the sense that I don't need the anxiety so much anymore to secure my boundaries, because now I just have self-love instead. And self-love is so much more powerful than anxiety and effective in doing in surviving in the world. Then that we might even come to a point of healing where the anxiety voluntarily starts to surrender some of the responsibility of keeping an eye on everything that's going on, because now it trusts that the thymus is strong enough, the self-love is strong enough to be able to do the same job, but much better, and from a self-love perspective instead from an anxious perspective. So that was just an example of how we just connect these things about why is there so much force in the world? Why are we always getting manipulated and forced into being something that we are not? And then how we can creatively work with this force energy, and via acceptance, self-love, and love, we can build up a different structure, which is not force-based, which is based on self-respect and self-love. And then we really start to grow up, and then there really is nothing to I also talked I had three major illusions to love. And one of the first illusions to love, which is so prevalent, is that you have to earn love. Like, that is also a force-based belief. So you have to go out and work and do all these things. But from outside of the crab bucket, it becomes an absurd belief that you can earn love. It's seen through as this illusion, and that is just, we already have love. We already are love. So this idea that we have to go, or it's seen as it's just another variant of this force that is always pushing us to do things we basically don't want, but which are built on lack. Yeah. So I just wanted also to start by taking some of these very common illusions to love as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's really interesting, because So when is something illusion, then the show can also be illusions. Like it's just like it's just a joke, but and that is the I think some people have difficult with find out when is it illusion and when is it real and
Yeah,
that's
I think, yeah,
we can only go on our own journey as Franz said before, like
yeah,
Buddha or who saying like who have going before us. We only know it because some have going before us.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
We don't know exactly if that also are true. They're going there before us, but we don't know if it's true. And how can we then also be the best, like with the self, like I also say to people, the best vision of ourselves, to be the best vision of who was I when I was little, who should I have been? Because it also illusion we have been creating to we have to be Eabeauti you have to be this way, Franz have to be, Andrea have to be this way. But this is also an illusion is about, but maybe Eabeauti is not that way, maybe Franz is not that way, maybe Andrea is not that way. So, and that's also I see people. I was someone was writing on my this article, this long things I have writing about tantra, and then there was some guys and they was making like some jokes and I say, oh, I'm happy you can joking about it and you can get the algorithm up and I say like and they take it like I was defending, but I just making jokes like because when you comment the algorithm is going up like that's and then there was one he comment, oh now you are a girl angry and I know your type. So I was like, how can you know my type with from a writing? It was really interesting, like seeing. So we very often putting labels on each other. Oh, you are that type. You are that type. Like before when I was working in kitchen, already from very young, I was working in very big companies. And I always talk to whoever was in this company, the owner of the company, and people, why are you talking to them? I said, they are just humans like I am. They are not different from me. They just are creating this company, but we all are connected to run this company. If I don't make the coffee and the food, his guests will not feel happy when they have been here. And so we have put all this label and type. If you have this work, you are that way, and if you have this work, you are that way. But it's illusion because who find out who is this person actually? Who are they? Like we talk about all this enneagram. I also talk with someone. She also, and I was saying to her, I will reflect over. She also say because I say, oh, we're putting all these boxes about ADHD and OCD and cancer and blah blah blah. And she said, yeah, but actually we also maybe do that the other way. You are Enneagram this, you are astrology this, you are, and I was like, I will reflect over, and that is also putting us in some boxes. Oh, you are Cancer, so you are this way. So that's also somehow we creating some illusions about ourselves.
yeah, and it's not just creating illusions about ourselves, but what I'm hearing you say is also that we are, and this is the crap bucket again,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it's like if I feel like you're going out of it, then I it's not I can there are more things I can do. I can also attack you with negativity,
Mm.
and that puts your psychic boundaries under incredible stress. It's the stress test for how well the thymus is doing, basically.
Mm.
Because if something of the negativity, it hooks into your system and pulls you in a certain direction, which is almost always negative. It's always negative because positivity doesn't force you to do anything. It's just there, and you can voluntarily choose to align with it. But you don't have to. Whereas in the negativity, you actually have to do some work to disengage from all these things and restore your boundaries, and then not get pulled down into it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very well said, André. Very well put. And tying to what you just said and what Eabeauti you said before, this is something very interesting, which is very prominent, especially in the Western world, that we create a negative self-image for us, and it's either conscious or unconscious. But we feel unloved and we feel unworthy, and we need to prove that we're good enough throughout life, and that's how we become easy to manipulate. And this is what you said also with the boundaries, Andre. Like if you are run by this subconscious pattern of I'm not good enough and have a negative self-image, you basically you can't put up any boundary if somebody comes and attacks you, because it's just feeding the very deep integrated story about yourself that's running in the subconscious. And so it's really about like getting first to yourself and really correcting that self-image, and come to terms with that and say, hey, I'm good enough. Like I'm working well, I'm breathing, I'm here right now. Life is moving into a direction, not always the one that we want, but that's the disappointment topic. But just to come to a certain point of accepting what's happening right now in my life, and then to come to myself, and then the first step to actually curing that negative self-image is self-compassion. It's not acceptance. I mean, acceptance, yeah, of course you can say like I accept, but for some people it's very, very hard to accept. Like if I was living now in a war zone, would I be able to accept that? I don't know. But then to start with, okay, I don't agree with what's happening here, but I can bring up compassion for myself that I'm in the middle of this mess right now, and I can bring up a little bit of gratitude for like being able to survive in this very, very big crap bucket where I don't even see the end of the bucket. Yeah, I'm not even talking about I want to get out of there, but it's like there's cracks everywhere. I don't see the light. Where the hell is the exit? Yeah. So,
Yeah, it can feel
and
like
then
that sometimes. Yeah.
and then start with self-compassion. And self-compassion is not an abstract concept. It's like, what is good for me right now? How can I give myself some compassion? And it could be, for some people, I just go for a walk in nature, for example. I go do some sports. I meditate, I listen to some good music, I meet a friend to get a sense of deeper connection.
Or be with my
Whatever,
cat. Oh.
yeah, whatever helps. I mean, there's lots of different. I mean, of course, that there's also alcohol and drugs, but this is not really a way out of the negative self-image, because it's clouding your mind. And whenever you drink something or you smoke something, you will immediately notice everything gets a little bit blurry, and it can be comforting for the moment, but it's not comforting if you do it on a repeated basis, and so it's really about finding ways like that nurture your soul, your true self, your thymus love.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Also,
to
only because like you was on the way like before of the word manipulation. That's I think it's the more difficult right nowadays. This big manipulation with like Andrea, he say all this bug crap and all these foods, and it's a big manipulation with us all the time. And that is how can we help people to stop up? And because I was seeing a movie where this manipulation really was with men and women, and it was like really I was like how can it be the guy's not stopping up, or someone not stopping up in all this manipulations game. And how can we direct people to learn? To learn? Okay, we are in all this manipulations game, but how can we give them some advice to how you're stepping out of that? Is that again step out of the world?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm?
That's always the first step, and it's just right there. So you can just do it,
Yes.
and then you could do many other things, or you can also do nothing. But
Mm.
why not start with the breath, because it's always there anyway. So yeah, so
Mm.
just take the easiest, make it easy on yourself. Because
Yeah, yeah.
we make it so hard on ourselves all the time. We're telling ourselves that we're not good enough and other people are not good enough. So this is like the complete opposite of that, that we're making it easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And I just had some comments, Eabeauti, if you are finished talking.
Yeah, I
Uh,
am.
Acceptance is not the same as passivity. When you're accepting something, you're not saying that it's okay, but you're also not in denial of it. So you're just accepting it, what is there, and then you take appropriate action. So for instance, if someone comes and attacks you, and maybe the person is even very clever, so the person knows where to attack you, where it hurts the most. There's a bit of a sadist here we are dealing with, I can see. uh, then you're not going into denial and saying this is not happening, because that's a trauma response. And if you do that, the attack will be successful. But you're not also saying, okay, this is just what's happening and there's nothing we can do here. But what we're saying is we're seeing what is actually happening, that this person has been taken over by very low. This person is at the bottom of the bucket and is really trying to not just pull you down into the bucket, but into the bottom of the bucket. And so we're seeing that this is actually what's happening. And I'm accepting these circumstances. I would wish that this person was not like that. Yes. But I'm accepting that this is what my senses are telling me. This is what
Mm.
my experience also and my knowledge is telling me is happening. This is happening. And so now I need to go and protect myself against it, because I don't want to be pulled down to the bottom of the bucket. So that's just one thing. That was one thing. And you talked about the beauty of this manipulation. I think if there were no payoffs to negativity, people would never go there. They would just say, I don't want to go there. But there are these hooks. There is this manipulation. There are these temptation, we might even call it, which is more like a Christian term, which is about that if you choose to take this negative position, you get something out of it. And this feels good in the moment. So what you can see and observe is that people are always choosing to take this negative positionality and using it and getting something out of it, and then pushing the responsibility over to other people, and then just continuing down that way. But as we talked about last time, that if you do this, you might, and this is also an illusion, because you might think that, oh, I can just push the responsibility over to other people, or I can just blame the prime minister, my boss, whoever. Uh, but what you're doing is you're creating this friction here, which will come back to you once you don't have these protective measures. And that's a bit of a paradox here, because these immature defenses that were put up to protect you, and it's also the sort of the paradox of addiction, in a way, that what you do to comfort yourself in the short term, it becomes something that creates more suffering on the long term. And so the way to step out of manipulation, yes, it is about coming into the body and all that, but it's also just about saying, I don't want to use this negativity anymore. So there's also a choice here. And we can talk about the different juice because it's different in terms of what negativity you prefer. That there are masculine negativities and feminine negativities and so on. But is a choice to say, I actually want to do something else than be negative all the time and be run by negativity. Yeah. And just to take that, if we talk about blame, that I don't feel good enough, and because I don't feel good enough, I go around making other people not feel good enough by my actions and my general vibe, and then I blame everyone else from myself not feeling good enough. Because the juice here is that I get to be a righteous person when I have figured out who the bad guy is. So um, before we go into these rounds, I place the roles on people. So this is the bad guy, and this is my allied. And then there's only, that was very fortunate. There's only one role left, and that was for the good guy. And that was that. So I have to take that role. And then you play this mental game, which you have put onto the world, and you're forcing this game through because you know the outcome of this game is that you will be victorious and you will be righteous. And if you lose it, you can always just blame everyone else. So the way out of this game, this force-based game, is simply to say, I don't want to play it anymore. It's okay if I'm not always the good guy, and it's okay if I cannot always tell who the bad guy is, because we're very complex human beings. And then you can sort of get into a more kind of a humanness where it's about I have good sides and bad sides, and things become much more nuanced than they were before when you're just playing this immature game. So that was just like you have to simply say you have to forego the pleasure of playing these games, and you don't know how life is on the other side of this game because you've never tried it before. You don't know what the world looks like out of the crab bucket. So you're also taking a risk here. And you cannot do that before you have already started the healing process and self-love becomes prevalent. Because that was the last thing I wanted to say was the reason why we can talk about all this, because the topic is love here, but we haven't really talked about love in particular. We have talking about everything else, but the reason why we can talk about everything else is because there is love here. We are in a love field, and the love field is so strong and so aligned with reality that now we can talk about everything else which blocks it and which causes pain and suffering. But if you're in the pain and suffering, you cannot talk about it because it's just there. But the reason why we can step out, so we have all stepped out of the bucket and are talking about all these things because we are in this love, right? And so now we are strong enough in ourselves and together that we can actually talk about these things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But definitely I have a very good question to both of you. I like that when you say when you are in the pain, you cannot, it's really good. It's really, really good to people to see that can be one of the reasons it's so difficult. But I have a question. So how can we, as a person, when someone writing something to you and you feel the things they're writing, it's not the right things, like, and how can we learn people, how can you react back without giving the person guilt, shame, and make them wrong? They still maybe writing something wrong, like someone with my work can write, oh, I just wanna F you, fuck you. And then I will react, hey, go away. But then I actually going in and playing with the game of we talking about before about the shame and the guilt. How could we respond back and just say, thank you, I accept them, or what will you in that case? Because I also see there we could help each other to come out of all this guilt and shame and all that. Because if we respond back, then we with something who make the people feel game and shit, girl, we
Yeah.
keep driving the wheels. Hmm?
Yes.
So that
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
with you guys. I wanna.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to? Do you want to talk about that, Franz?
Well, I
Yes.
mean, you said it before already, Andre. We can stop at any time and we can exit the game anytime. So when you are getting attacked, it's very well. I mean, it doesn't feel pleasant in a first reaction, but then if you just wait for the after the first reaction, you can see, oh, it's very evident. Here is negativity coming to me. So this is a chance to show that love is here and that and to dissolve it. And so you can, if you feel like there's a trigger inside of you, and this is the most important thing at all, like what is being triggered inside of you. Like in the first step, it's not about the other person. It's about what's happening here. So you can take a breath, deep breath, and in those few seconds, you can give yourself the opportunity to feel what is happening here and connect with yourself and be compassionate
Yeah.
with yourself. And when you have established that solid ground
Yeah.
here, and you're like, okay, this is a trigger from my past, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to define how I react now. You can say, hey, I disagree with what you're saying, and I don't like how you bring the negativity out, but I still have love and compassion for you. So basically, you are disagreeing with the act, but you're loving the one who's acting. So you
Yeah.
stay rooted in love, but you very clearly you can say, like, even in a extreme case like that Austrian student, you can say, I heavily disagree and maybe even condemn this kind of action. Um, but I still have love for that person who was absolutely in a dark, in one of the darkest possible places
Yeah.
in the crap bucket that you could possibly imagine. And I
Yeah.
still have love and compassion for that person, of course, for all of the other victims as well, who got dragged into that misery. But but at the same time, I very clearly say I disagree with the act.
Yeah.
It's not appropriate. It should never happen. And yeah, and that's it. So you stay grounded, you stay rooted with yourself first, and then you can say, okay, I disagree with the act. It's not appropriate, the act. However, I still have love for the person who is acting.
Yeah. I also really like what you did there, Franz, because I could see what you did, that the negativity is the force that's coming in. And if you're just responding to the negativity, then there's a voice in your head that is screaming, you have to do something. You have to do something. And if you act from that voice, then what you will be doing will be creating more negativity. But what I was sort of witnessing you do was that instead of doing that, you are pausing, because in love you don't have to do anything ever, because there are no force here. So you're just pausing, and maybe you need to do some energetic things. Maybe you need to neutralize specific negativity, or you have to restore your boundaries, or you have to do a little bit. But these are just maintenance, personal maintenance things, background stuff. And then once this feeling of urgency has been neutralized, then you can do whatever you want, because you're not acting from the place of urgency anymore. Or you can also do nothing. You can just throw the emails out. That you don't have to do anything. If you're just coming, so that then if you do something, but you're coming from, I don't have to do anything, then what you will be doing will be appropriate to the specific context that you're dealing with. Instead of just being these things that are running, these programs that are negative programs that are running all the time. So you always keep your options open when when you have not been pushed, because if the force becomes very, very strong, it becomes so strong that you are being pushed out of yourself. So you're somewhere else in trauma land or wherever you are, and what is left here are just these programs or these entities that are running these things, and so people in that way can become so they can become so pushed out of themselves that they become almost like another person, because the core consciousness here has just been wiped out in a way. Yeah, so again, it comes back to this self-love thing here, that we have to protect our boundaries because there's so much force in the world, and we are doing it as a spiritual survival, because we don't want to go to the bottom of the bucket. We just don't want to be there. It's not pleasant. It's, you might have a few victories here and there, but if your whole life is just defined by misery, it I don't want that for myself, and I also don't want that for anyone else. Um,
You
yeah,
know,
and so yeah, and just the last thing here, just about acceptance is the first energy field which is strong enough for us to sit and hold the pain and the force and the trauma and the wounds and all that. Before that, we can only talk about it. Like, oh yeah, I experienced these things, but I cannot approach it because there's not enough love in me to really go into direct contact with it. So I put up these defenses because I know I'm not strong enough to go there and transform it into something better. But from acceptance and onwards, it becomes possible just to sit with it. And if we sit with it and create an accepting space, then yeah, sooner or later the energy just runs out of it because it's not being reinforced anymore. Uh, yeah,
so
yeah,
what I hear you both say, it's like take a breath, and because people receiving all that all the time, all the day long, like,
yeah,
and just take a break and not do anything. Or if you react, like I hear you say, like, just say, I disagree, but I have gratitude, I send you love and light. Hmm? In that way, to put it like down, small step people could do to train to don't go into the game of
yeah,
the other persons.
yeah. I
So I
think
hear you.
you can have as a mantra when you feel
Yeah.
like there's something coming into you which is not you, but which wants to hook you into doing something. Just this mantra is very powerful that says, I don't have to do anything. I really don't have to do anything. If I want to do something, it's fine. If I don't want to do something, equally fine. But I don't really have to do anything. And that can neutralize this sense of I have to do something. My survival is at stake, basically. Uh, yeah,
So that what I hear you. I think we also talk about that in other shows, like that is really about, and also in the beginning of this show is like coming back to like be awareness, eh? About the consciousness
yeah,
awareness and live in a stage of that all the time. Like that's what I hear you say, both of you. Hmm? Like we have to calm down to live in a state of awareness and conscious awareness about, okay, I am here, I walk here, what happened around me. As you say, the mantra, you don't have to do anything and just be love. Hmm? Like,
yeah, exactly.
and,
Yeah.
I like Franz to talk a little about more about your topic today, like how to just love.
Yeah,
I want to hear why you choose this topic.
I think it's very important because most people don't really know what love is,
Yeah,
and it's not, I mean, it's not some romantic butterfly feeling, and love is also not sex. Sex is an act of oftentimes motivated by lust, and it's very important to understand that the true love is something much deeper. It's something divine that exists on a much bigger level, and that we can actually feel here. There's lots of studies even now that you can go into your heart chakra and you can feel it here. And I mean, I just come from a meditation retreat, and we've done a lot of meditations with the heart space, with heart chakra, and it's getting warm here. I can feel it getting warm, and there's a tingling sensation, there's a pulsating, and it is possible, and that shows that there's something else than the love that we're talking about. And the biggest clarification that I would like to make is there is conditional love and unconditional love. And I would say, yeah,
just talk. I just opened the door for my cats. Okay, just talk.
yeah. That's definitely love for your cats. Yeah,
Yeah.
you let them in it. So So the conditional love is actually a false sense of love, because love comes at a condition, and this is not true. Love does never come at a condition. Like when you speak about conditional love, I said, for example, romantic love. That means like, oh, you're sexy, I like you, so I like to be with you in a relationship, have some fun. But this is not about the other person. This is not about, there's no deeper altruistic motivation. This is just, I don't want to be alone. I want to have fun. This person is looking good. There's a lot of lust and pleasure involved. It has nothing to do with real love. And this is one of the reasons why many relationships fail now, because they're not rooted in love. And if you have sex without love, it feels emptying. It doesn't feel like it's fulfilling and giving you power, but you somehow feel disconnected after the act. And then, I mean, there's other ways of conditional love, like we all know it from our parents. Yeah, if you are a good boy, you get this or that, for example. There's also conditional love, and it's not about like mocking my parents or being critical about the parents. They also go through their own journey, but to realize that true love is unconditional, and that is very important. Like it's not, if you, for example, if you believe in God, or if you whatever kind of spiritual practice that you do, and you pray to God, it's not like, oh God, I'm praying to you, please give me a Lamborghini tomorrow. It's not like that. God is not going to give you a new Audi tomorrow. Yeah. Especially not if it's your neighbor's wish or your friend's wish or whatever. You're not going to get it, because it's not conditional love. It's unconditional love. You say, I surrender and I give myself to love. I give myself to God. I give myself to the flow of life. And that means you basically switch from I want this, I want that, to what does life actually want from me? And if you can make that switch, and of course, this is also a process, like you can go into that and then you live like that. And then suddenly you realize that life is completely in flow, because there's no expectation, there's no disappointment, there's just love for life. And then it comes back and it flows through you quite naturally. And of course, there's challenges. All of us, we are here on this planet because we need to face these challenges. But, and this is very important, what you mentioned, Andre, we don't need to act or react immediately to these challenges. We can also take time. Yeah, we can take a step back, and we don't have to do anything. So stepping into that unconditional love means like, okay, there is love here. There's love here in this room, and to get in touch with that. And even if it's very, you're in a very tough spot, like let's go back to that war zone topic from before. If you live in that war zone, then the least you can bring up is like love for the divine, for the creator who has made all of this. And it doesn't need to be a man sitting in heaven who created it. It could be some, I don't know, space wind or whatever.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have no
exactly.
we have no clue. We don't need to picture this divine, you know. The only thing we can do is we can feel it in ourselves as the life energy that flows through us and that flows between us, and which is palpable in the air. And if you reach certain states of mind through meditation or whatever may help you, you can feel a little bit of that, and as I said before, science has proven that it's real. Like there's a lot of energy here in that heart space, in that heart chakra, and to get in touch with that unconditional love, that immediately cures all of the trauma and gives you the idea of I am good enough as I am. Because otherwise, I wouldn't be here in this moment right now the way that I show up here. And that is about tying also to what you said, Andre, about full acceptance of everything at the same time, of this body being here, of all the objects around us, of sound, of everything that we can perceive. Like everything is accepted. And then next step from this acceptance is surrendering. Because surrendering is also accepting that I'm not in control. Like if I think like, oh, I'm in control, then I have to face the fact that at some point this body is going to die. And then I'm like, shit, I actually am not in control because I don't want this body to die. And that's when the whole machine starts to run, because I have to play the survival game. I have to get back into the survival game. And then I have to defend myself. I have to earn money. I have to do this, do that. And suddenly I'm a slave. I'm back in the crap bucket.
Yeah.
And
It's especially at the end of life, the ego, it becomes a lot about personal legacy at the end of life. Uh, yeah. Yeah. Just to follow up on you were just saying.
and
Yeah.
personal legacy, the best thing I can recommend there, or one very good thing, let's say, is to read Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, because he writes, you know, like a lot of people came in life, said beautiful things, built huge monuments, and all of it has been wiped out and forgotten. So that's the fact. Like all of this legacies, even like thousands of years, is all mental
Mm.
mental crap bucket stuff. Yeah,
I see that with my teacher, David.
Yeah.
Yeah, his house burning down in LA, and he still was, because he working with this creator uncertainty, and everything is a test, and everything is like, so it burned down, and then he have to move on from there, and he not like that
Mm.
was really powerful, like as this you say now also.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then eh,
Yeah.
just this is the like this is the core of what I want to say, is that to step out of what do I want and step
Mm.
into what does life want from me. And that is it's very easy, because it's a combination of what are my talents, which place am I in, what body have I been given, body and mind have I been given, and what's my contribution here in this world right now. And it's actually not that complex if we quiet the mind, tune into it, and then if we are willing to stay true to it, because this is very difficult with parents' expectation, society's expectation, maybe partner expectation, and to be true to what's really here. Yeah, what is your contribution? That is like this is the true way of connecting with love and then spreading love.
Yeah, thank you, Franz. I just wanted to, because now we are moving on and talking about, so what experiences do we have with the love field, and what does it feel like, and in the body? And I just wanted to wrap up everything that we have been talking about, just to prove this paradigm shift here. Because so instead of love being this ephemeral thing out there, that we can maybe go to the Amazon and drink some brew, or and just get a glimpse of it up there, whatever people want to do, and fast for 30 days or whatever they want to do. What we have been doing today is that we have been turning it around and saying that from this love field, uh, love, wholeness, and acceptance, and then later surrender and these things, we have been able to talk about or contain within the love field. We have been talking about manipulation, force, pain, trauma, infantile consciousness, infantile defense mechanisms, anxiety, uh, extra consciousness, maybe even. And this, we can all contain these things. We have not been sitting and blaming the Prime Minister of Denmark, even though we could also do that, but that's another time. But we have been talking about all these things because all of these things are part of the whole, which we call love. And so it's not the love that's disappearing, but it's these things, these unhealed things that comes in before us. And the love is the context in which is strong enough that we can start and talk about it, and work with it and heal it and transform it into something else. Yeah, so I just wanted to wrap that up, just to sort of prove here, we have been proving together that there really is nothing stronger than love. And so why not start to align yourself with it, and step out of all the other things that we have been talking about? That's yeah. So I just wanted to wrap that up.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Do you have
Yes.
any closing comments from your side, Eabeauti?
Yeah, I think it's in a way to closing, because it's not about being proud. It's just we showing. Because again, of we being proud, we just showing. And I want this show to closing up with we saying this mantra again. Andrea was saying, and we do it together, and he's saying, and then we coming after. So it's gonna be like a because that could be beautiful way to close the show up.
Yeah,
And to thank
yeah.
you for all the time you have using to listen, and write in the comment, and send us a message if it's connected to you, to connect with us, to working on your self-love. We
So
all
the
working with
yeah.
self-love.
So the full mantra is, you don't have to do anything, because
You
what you
don't.
are, yeah, because what you are is love. That's the
Mm.
full mantra.
Okay, so you start and we say it after you.
Okay, how many times do we repeat it? 3 times?
5 times, I think.
5
5
times.
times.
Okay. Okay, so we do that and then we end the video.
Yes, I will say thank you.
Great. That's actually that's a good ending. Yeah. Okay. So you don't have to do anything,
You don't have to
You don't have
do
to do
anything,
anything
because what you are is love.
because
because
what you
what you
are is
are
love.
is love.
You don't have to do anything,
You don't
You
have to
don't
do
have to do
anything,
anything
because what you are is love.
because
because
what you
what you
are is
are
love.
is love.
You don't have to do anything,
You
You
don't
don't have to
have
do
to do
anything,
anything
because what you are is love.
because what you
because what you
are is
are
love.
is love.
You don't have to do anything,
You don't
You
have to
don't have
do
to do
anything,
anything
Because what you are is love.
Because what
Because
you
what you are is
is
love.
You don't have to do anything.
you don't
You
have to
don't have
do
to do
anything.
anything.
Because what you are is love.
Because what you
Because what
are
you
is love.
are is love.
Thank you. We send you love.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Love.